Welcome to the section called Naughty Nights. The following 12 chapters will be about some of my crazy adventures when I performed as the entertainer known as Sir Dance a Lot. In case you've skipped all of the chapters leading up to this section, I would strongly advise you to go back at least 5 chapters in order for the following to make any kind of sense. The pace of my journey in the dating scene has now changed. So if you've got a weak heart or you're easily shocked, you leave now, because we will be traveling in the outside lane at high speed. Chapter 61, Ghetto Gal. Okay, before I get started, I need to issue out an apology because I will be expressing some preconceived, stereotypical thoughts that I had back then, which sadly was based on my experience. So I apologize for any offense that I may cause. Okay, so let's get to it. It was a busy Saturday night. I was on my way to my last strippergram booking. I was running late thanks to agent Tony pulling his usual stunt of overbooking me. I was on my way to Charlton in southeast London. When I arrived, I apologised to the woman for running like 45 minutes late, I think, and she was okay with it. She was a young woman, olive-coloured skin. Now, I didn't know whether she was Greek or Turkey. She looked definitely southern Mediterranean, maybe Arab. Anyway, when she was leading me through the hallway, my heart sank because I heard a distinct London urban accent. Now, the voice in question didn't say these words, but they would have said it in this manner. You get me, though? Then I thought, oh, fucking hell. Ghetto girls. I absolutely hate performing for ghetto gals because, one, they're normally hassle to work with. They want a long, spectacular performance, but they don't realize in order to get a long, spectacular performance, they have to participate in the act. But they never want to participate. They don't want to be touched. When I try to get them to do a trick, oh, no, I don't. And I think, well, okay, well, you're tying my hands behind my back, because if you sit there and you don't take part, the performance is going to be shorter. And then when you get the shorter performance, you then complain, oh, is that it? I thought the performance would have been longer. And they seem to lack the intelligence to figure out it's their fault why the performance is shorter. Then there's reason number 2, which is connected to reason number 1. In the words of a colleague of mine, Jaden, he says, they want a Las Vegas style performance, but they want to pay McDonald's money for it. And reason number 3, 9 3/4 times out of 10, they don't like the way I look. And the feedback that I've had over the years is, 1, I have the wrong vibes because I don't give off that, yo, motherfucker, I'm the wrong nigger to fuck with. And 2, I've been told I sound too white and too English. In short, I'm not a stereotypical black man that walks with a limp, speaks street or broken English, and has a small bag of spliff in his back pocket. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that I wear a belt. I don't wear my jeans or trousers hanging down low where you could see my underwear. Now, when the lady opened the door to the living room, I was walking in there with dread. I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare. So I slowly walked in, and to my surprise, they cheered. They cheered with delight. I was expecting the usual sort of frown on their face or the sort of bit of silence. You know, that bad vibe that, oh no, we don't really like him. And what was an even bigger surprise was the woman I was performing to was really good to work with. She was really accommodating. She took part in all the tricks, and I actually enjoyed doing the performance. And they screamed and laughed and cheered, and it was a really good performance. And when you're enjoying what you're doing, you put more effort and you take more time, and you make sure the customer gets their money's worth. So now I put my clothes back on. It was my last job, so I didn't have anywhere to go in a hurry. So I was having a conversation with the ladies, and they were just asking me questions about my line of work. But there was one woman in particular was asking me more questions than the others. She was a light-skinned black woman, very pretty. Now, her description is very significant in my shock that was yet to follow. So this pretty light-skinned lady, she said to me, so when you finish a show, do you get paid to do extras? I said, what exactly do you mean by extras? She said, if the woman wants to have sex with you, would she have to pay you for that? And I said to her, well, I'm not an escort. I'm an entertainer. That's not my job. I don't perform to have sex with anybody. Then she said, but if a woman wanted to have sex with you after you did your performance, would you have sex with her? And I said, well, it's no different from me meeting a woman in a nightclub or a party. If two of us agree and we want the same thing there and then game on. What happened next totally pulled the rug from beneath my feet. I was so shocked. I so didn't see this coming. One of her friends shouted out across the room, if you want to have sex with him, why don't you just tell him? And then the light-skinned lady said, well, I'm only thinking what everyone else is thinking. And my thought was, really? Is everybody thinking that? Really? Now, I have to remind you of my dating track record, okay? Now, this doesn't apply to all, but in most cases, black women, especially ghetto girls, don't like me on sight. Very rarely do I get eyed up or smiled at from a black woman. And unless I make it clear that I'm giving them a no strings attached compliment, I tend not to get a very sort of warm reaction from them. If it's clear that I fancy them and I approach them to sort of talk to them, I'm more used to getting the cold shoulder than not. So despite the few black women I have dated, and despite the many that I've thought, wow, she's fine, she's nice, man, to me, from my track record, from where I'm sitting, they're very much off limits. So then to be told that the majority of the black women in a room is equally thinking about having sex with you is the same surprise as you would have if you walked around a corner and someone threw a cold bucket of water in your face. And the bigger shock was when this pretty light-skinned woman said to me, I definitely want to fuck you tonight. I thought, is this really happening? Have I just fallen asleep and dreamt all of this? Now, here is the significance of her being pretty and light-skinned. If you recall in chapter 26, Too Black and Ugly, I described the effects of the transatlantic slave trade that gave rise to the colorism amongst black people, or people of color, because it's not only black people that suffers from colorism. The closer your shade is to white, the opinions of the world, that is more right. The closer your shade is to black, that's bad news, and that's a fact. So sadly, as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, light-skinned women in particular have their pick of men, especially in the black community. Now, it's immaterial whether you believe this is wrong or right. I'm just explaining how it is. A pretty light-skinned black woman has no need to make any advances at any man because she normally is the one that's getting the advances from men. All she has to do is just pick which one out of the multitude that's coming towards her. So you could imagine my shock when this pretty light-skinned black woman, who would normally have a pick of men, was one, she was asking me a load of questions, and two, she outrightly said, I definitely want to fuck you tonight. And remember, I'm not classically good looking. I'm not no Denzel Washington or Tyson Becks. Now, physically, she wasn't as chunky as I normally go for. She had a very attractive medium build. So after her statement, she said, if you're up for it, I definitely want to do it. I said, yeah. I said, I'm up for it. So the woman I was performing for, her and her friends was getting ready to go to a nightclub. So the pretty light-skinned woman said, well, let's wait till everyone goes because they're going to get going in a minute. So in the meantime, I ran out to my car, got my wallet and got my condom out. So eventually her friends dragged their asses out of the house. I've got a feeling that they took their time to freaking cockblock because they knew that she was going to get some. And they fucking took their time getting, I think, get the fuck out if you're going to go, man. I want to get a piece of this. Let's call her the Greek lady that answered the door. She put the music on back because it was her place. She put the music on and she went out into the next room. And it was just me and a pretty light-skinned lady alone. So, of course, I started kissing her and everything and that, and started removing her clothes. I started removing my clothes. Got to the point where I'm now naked. I got bing, bing hard on, boy. Gee whiz, my cock was hard, boy. So I'm busy caressing this woman. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, so when are you going to start working on me? You know, I want to start feeling your hands, stroking my body, love. So come on, let's get to it. I noticed she wasn't very forthcoming with her hands. So what I did, I gently got hold of her wrist, guided her hands towards and on my penis. And that was the indication from me to start jerking me off because, you know, I need to be, even though I had a hard on, but I'm going to be putting a condom on soon. So I need to have a certain level of arousal for me to carry on. But instead of jerking me off, she just held my penis, as though she was a passenger on the London Underground holding a handrail. Immediately I thought, love, you've been on the receiving end way too long because you lack pleasing skills. So I thought to myself, boy, you better get that condom on quick and get inside her because this is going to go south if she don't start doing something kind of pronto. I had her back on the sofa with her legs spread out wide, and I slowly entered inside her and I was jerking her in and out, and she was making a noise while I was kissing her, and I was like moaning myself. And then what happened next? Wow! The Greek lady that answered the door earlier on, she came into the room to change the CDs over while I was having sex with a pretty light-skinned woman, and this turned me on. The fact that she was behind me, she was selecting her CDs, and I was bonking her. I thought, whoa, you know, it was established before that I get turned on with spectators, but the fact that she was just casually behind us, it really got me going. It got my dick even harder. Lads, I know you would love to hear that the Greek lady turned round and got involved, but I'll be lying. No, she didn't. She walked out the room. She casually walked out the room. So, you know, so sorry guys. I know you would have loved to hear that one, but it is or was what it was. Now, I was probably around 10, 20 jerks away from coming my load, ejaculating inside the condom, when to my shock, I heard on the window. I thought, you are joking. It went about 3 times. And it was their fucking friends. Her friends came back. I thought you lot was going to the nightclub. And note, they didn't knock the front door for the Greek woman to come and answer. They made sure they knocked on the window because they knew that me and her was going at it in the front room. The spiteful bitches knocked on the window. And they made themselves known by calling out her name from outside. And then now she didn't want to continue. So I had to pull my pants up and take the condom off, and we had to sort of get dressed kind of quickly because now the Greek woman was opening the door and they were piling in. You could hear them coming in. I think she held the door to stop them from coming in until we got fully clothed. And I thought, you cock-blocking spiteful cows. You know, I didn't get to finish. I was looking forward to coming my load. And it killed it because now they were just hanging around. I thought, well, I'm not going to hang around for them to leave. So I just said my goodbyes and left. Oh, and by the way, I made sure I was paid for my job first before I even went to get the condoms. However, when I was driving across to West London, all I could think was, I just didn't see that one coming. I didn't see that one coming for the month of Sundays. Ghetto gals and a pretty light-skinned ghetto girl want to actually have sex with me, overtly telling me she wanted to have sex with me. If I'd had to put money in a betting shop that would have happened, I would have lost my money.